Words.
Natural
Sleep,
shots
perchance to
of
dream.
flesh is it?
To be or not to be? That is the question. To die? To sleep? To sleep? A chance to dream?
No interpretation of character is without flaw, and there is not ever one true analysis of a character. That being said, there is no character who is more fascinating to interpret and analyze to death than Hamlet. When the play opens, we find that all is not well in this kingdom. The mood is dark and mysterious. The characters immediately begin discussing the supernatural, a spectral presence, a bad omen, and impending doom. You start to question what is real and what is not. Is this apparition a restless spirit, or is it the devil or an evil spirit, or simply a hallucination? The king, Hamlet's father, has died, and it's possible that his ghost is haunting the castle, which is still mourning his death. When Hamlet's father's ghost appears before him and confirms his worst fear, that Claudius killed him and stole both his crown and his wife, Hamlet is distraught. He vows revenge to kill Claudius. And this is where his conflict really begins, because Hamlet is a man of strong Christian values. He knows that anger, revenge, and murder go against his moral code, so Hamlet puts on a mask of madness in an attempt to expose Claudius. If people believe him to be mad, perhaps they will be more honest around him. But is this a mask? His meaning is left ambiguous. A prominent theme in Hamlet is the constant shift between appearance and reality, both for the characters and for the audience. We are unsure if Hamlet is as he appears to be.
What a piece of work is a man.
For who would bear the whips and scorns of time?
What a rogue and peasant slave am I?
If he actually causes himself to go mad by the time he accidentally murders Polonius, or if he simply continues to just question himself and his purpose throughout the play, unable to grow past his own doubts. Hamlet, like many tragic heroes, attempts to control his fate in the face of greater forces that are at work. Ben feels to be doing the same in a way. Both characters believe themselves to be all alone in their own thoughts. No one understands them, no one could. They are both offended and betrayed by their own family.
He was weak and foolish, like his father.
Ben probably always felt this conflict, a pull to the light and the dark. When he was told that Vader was a part of him, he likely would have felt incredibly betrayed by his parents, especially his mother, for not telling him sooner. Hamlet feels betrayed by his mother because he thinks her immediate marriage to his uncle is offensive to his late father. They've essentially lost that feminine influence in their lives. Both are haunted by those that came before them, men that are a part of them, that made them what they are. For Hamlet, it's his father. For Ben, it's his grandfather. They each, in different ways, attempt to avenge the deaths of those men, to restore and finalize those legacies.
And I will finish what you started.
Both characters promote existential ideas.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
While also feeling great anguish in those thoughts, and sometimes grasping for a future where things are better.
To sleep. To sleep. Perchance to dream.
You're nothing, but not to me.
Existence is the first principle in this way of thinking. You choose what you want to do with your own existence. There is no essence given to man. Man chooses what he wants in his life. This is a shared struggle for both Ben and Hamlet. What they want is at odds with who they are, but because of their reliance on their self, their own definition of morality, they continue on. And this relates to the contradicting nature of both of these characters. This is something that has always made people so drawn to Hamlet as a character. He is an enigma.
Get thee to a nunnery. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners? I am myself indifferent honest, but yet I could accuse me of such things that it were better my mother had not borne me.
Your parents threw you away like garbage.
They didn't.
They did, but you can't stop needing them. Looking for them everywhere, in Han Solo, Alan Skywalker.
Kylo Ren or Ben Solo may not be a perfect parallel to Hamlet, but our intrigue to these two figures is. The audience's fascination to Ben Solo is eerily similar to Hamlet. Ben and Hamlet reflect our greatest prejudices as well as our greatest shames and fears. We feel a sense of dread, of uncertainty with Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens. We aren't really sure what to make of him. Many can relate to Ben's angst and internal conflict just as people relate to Hamlet's. It is the enigma, the mystery, and the uncertainty that makes them so interesting and relatable. What we don't know, or what is left ambiguous, is the best part. It's what makes Hamlet one of the greatest characters of all time. It is what makes Ben one of the most beloved characters of the current trilogy, despite him being coded as a villain. And this brings me to my ultimate contradiction. Kylo Ren as Hamlet is, ultimately,
That would be a red herring.
A red herring.
Certainly, Ben possesses the hubris of a tragic hero. He believes in his own definition of morality, whatever that may be. Ben is essentially a prince in the Star Wars story. Ben and Hamlet have some similar traits and project similar feelings to the audience, but what makes them so different is how they react to their conflict. Hamlet is pretty misogynistic and puritanical. Ben does not seem to be, and it's perhaps his one saving grace. Hamlet disregarded all of his loved ones. He did not allow anyone to seduce him from the darkness, not even the woman he loves. But Ben does. Hamlet is internally conflicted, but it's because he doesn't know who he is. He fights against society, against community, and ultimately against himself. His fears are based in the pure act of living, of existing, and of death. We know that Ben wants to let the past die, but we still don't really know why, or for what. As a refresher, a tragic hero ignores his community, defines his morals on himself, and then realizes his own misfortune too late. Hamlet's inner conflict makes taking action difficult. The more Hamlet realizes, the more knowledge he gains, the more he doubts his reality. But Ben's inner conflict fluctuates based on his community. He's very obviously affected by Finn's conflict, his father, his mother, and Rey. In-universe, this has an explanation. Ben's connection to the living force is incredibly strong. He uses both parts of the light and parts of the dark side to be powerful. It is explained in The Last Jedi novelization that Kylo's turmoil all but filled the force around them, roiling and churning it. Again, this is Ben's saving grace. This is the major difference between Ben and Hamlet. Because he is a powerful force user, he can feel everything. By letting the past die to become more powerful, he is essentially unable to ignore his community. The more powerful he becomes and the more pain he causes, the more he suffers. Or does he?